Strange that the two of us are debating over duality, isn't it? However much the resemblance, duality is different. Okay, tell me about this. In the story of Dukhabara, in the section on duality, there are two terms that I noticed: Dvaita-Jana and Eka-Karma.
True.
I find it kind of misleading. Tell me, what is your understanding of duality?
Like, what is duality? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. What is it? And how would you describe it? And why Dvaita-Jana and Eka-Karma? It shouldn't be the other way around.
In simplest of terms, duality pertains to our ability to perceive difference.
Like see things as to differentiate?
Yes.
Like heat and cold, darkness and light, good and evil.
Correct.
And non-dualism?
To see oneness in two things.
Never mind. Okay, let's get back to duality. You say that it's our ability to perceive difference, differentiate.
Correct.
But it isn't about our perception alone, isn't it? You know what I mean? For example, darkness and light, heat and cold, good and evil, they all exist, whether we perceive it or not.
Yes and no.
What do you mean?
Okay, let me simplify this for you. Let's agree as for convenience sake that all things that exist as existence, and our understanding of all things that exist as knowledge.
Okay.
Now, existence is independent of knowledge, or in other words, things exist, whether we know it or not. We might know something or we don't, but it doesn't matter because it exists without us knowing it.
Yeah, precisely what I was saying.
Right, as you were saying. But the point to note is they simply exist as a continuum. Meaning that temperature is an existence as a continuum. Heat and cold is a reference that we make. Luminance, for example, is a continuum. Darkness and brightness is a reference that we make.
Okay. What you're saying is that temperature is a continuum. And we pick up 2 points in that continuum, in that continuity, and say that this is heat and that is cold. Which 2 person might perceive as different.
Correct.
So all things are in a state of continuum. And the duality of hot and cold, good and evil, is a product of our knowledge.
Correct.
Interesting indeed. So in this section on duality in the story of Dukhabara, the reference to Dvaita-Jana and Eka-Karma, if I understand correctly now, means that our actions are one. It's our knowledge that actually differentiates it between good and bad or right and wrong.
Correct.
That's an interesting concept.
Let me explain this a bit more. We might be able to understand this in the larger context. Murder or rape, as an example. We consider all these as wrong. It's very easy for us to kind of get to a conclusion. But let's take an example of murder by complicating things a bit. A soldier killing another soldier on the frontier, whereas a neighbor killing a neighbor for whatever reason. We think that we see them as different because of knowledge. Both are murder. Taking the life of one person by another.
Okay.
Now let's take the example of us giving alms to a beggar, for example,
Okay.
on the street. Now it's easy to judge that as a good action because you're helping a beggar. But in a world of cause and effect, it might have a reverse consequence. Because that person is actually being irresponsible towards his family, sitting on the street and beg because he wants to drink in the night. Whereas he should have taken care of his family instead. It's more clear to me right now. So, duality, to put it in the simplest of words, duality is the truth that we perceive which does not exist, what we call knowledge. And an existence is a continuum, that truth that does exist but which we cannot perceive. Exactly. So tell me one thing, what are we? Duality or continuum? Well, it depends on they are able to perceive us or not.